Yo guys, what up? All right, here I am with my beloved 2024 Lowrider ST. Now that's right though, the title of this video, that's the real thing. I almost sold my Lowrider ST. Let's talk a little bit about why. Now as you guys know, I absolutely love this bike. I think it's the best modern Harley Davidson they make. I have another video about that. Granted, that's just my opinion, but that is how I feel, so. Don't get your panties in a bunch. So yeah, I almost sold my bike. And for those of you that follow my channel and everything else, you probably say, what? That's crazy. You love that bike. That bike is a huge part of your life. And that's correct. It is a huge part of my life, and I do love this bike. But let me tell you what, life kind of throws you some curveballs. And you know, I haven't really been posting much because I've been thinking a little bit about this decision. You know, it's just life is wild, whether it's social, business, financial, it's all these things combined. And sometimes it causes you to maybe think a little bit outside the restraints of how you normally feel about things. So I recently got married. That was a huge thing financially, obviously. Drained a lot of money for us. We didn't do it too crazy. We kept it fairly small, but it still ended up costing a lot of money. I recently bought a new truck. I bought new wheels and tires and suspension and dumped a lot of money into that, and then put a really large down payment on the truck when I went to buy it. And then, you know, we booked our honeymoon and just a lot of other things. And, you know, for a second I thought to myself, man, for this thing, you know, I only get to ride about 7 or 8 months out of the year. Maybe is it worth it to sell it and get the cash and you know, kind of make up for all this money I spent on all these other things in life? And the reality is we all have to, you know, make decisions from time to time. And ultimately, you know, I even put it up on Facebook Marketplace, and it lasted about a day, and then I took it down. I said, this is crazy. I can't do this. I can't sell this motorcycle. I love this bike. And I love riding. It's just such a big part of my life, and it's become a huge it's therapy for me. And I guess ultimately what really made me, you know, and I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm thinking about selling the bike. I even told my mom, you know, believe it or not, a lot of moms are like, oh, I don't want you riding motorcycles. And, you know, they worry, you know, moms worry, my wife worries, but they support it, and they know how much I love it. And they're like, well, I don't know if you should sell something that you get that much enjoyment out of. And you don't really technically need the money, you know, but it's just that feeling of wanting to be responsible on every front, right? And ultimately, man, I couldn't do it. I thought about, you know, all the memories I've made on my bike. I've thought about, you know, even all the way back to like learning how to ride. That I took the leap and I learned how to ride, and I got into motorcycles, and it's such a huge part of my life now. And you know, it's weird because you go, well, how would you even think that for a second that you'd want to sell it? Like, well, how did that even come to your mind? Like, that's crazy. You would really want to do that? But life gets busy. I'm a business owner. I'm married. I have 2 kids. You know, I have a lot of stuff going on, you know? And then you tie in financial stuff. You tie in life stuff. You tie in how busy you are and all these things. And, you know, I haven't ridden my motorcycle in almost 3 weeks. Like, that is crazy. And last season, I'm trying to, you know, ride as much as humanly possible. I had a bad injury, and the start of this season, I was riding constantly. So it's just kind of like the ebbs and flows of life in general. And I think that's kind of what had me a little shook, you know? It just kind of had me thinking a little different. And I remembered I had to, like, you know, really sit and think about this and go, man, riding is like my one thing that still makes me feel kind of young. I know that sounds kind of silly. I'm only 39, right? But I grew up skateboarding. I grew up, you know, going to punk rock shows, hardcore shows, and you know, I always like had this piece of me that always wanted to have some things that were on the fringe, right? And it's like, if I sell my bike, I feel like all my youth is gone. Like, you know, I don't skateboard anymore because I can't get hurt. You know, my hands are my job. You know, I don't I don't go to many shows anymore. I don't do a lot of like the extreme, quote unquote, extreme behavior that I used to, So riding is my one thing that kind of keeps me young, keeps me youthful. Like when I'm riding, I'm completely mindful. It's true therapy in every sense of the word. And, I just realized like this has to continue to be a priority in my life, riding motorcycles, because I enjoy it too much, the community, riding, the memories you make, the people you meet. It's just an amazing thing. So yeah, and not only that, like I do have a couple other hobbies, and arguably those hobbies are even more expensive than motorcycles. So life just kind of creeps up on you, you get married, you buy new vehicles, you travel, you book a honeymoon, you do all these things, you're busy. It kind of messes with you a little bit, and it almost caused me to sell this machine that I love so much, just because I was like, man, I need a little bit of simplification in my life. There's so much going on every front, and at the end of the day, I need to just make it a priority. I'm sure there's some of you that that are watching this that maybe it's crossed your mind from time to time. Man, should I just sell my bike? I could get something else in a couple years, and that's what I was thinking. But also, I put so much money into this motorcycle. That's another reason I don't want to sell it. I bought it 2 years ago, and I've put, just under 10,000 in upgrades into the bike now. So, I'm sitting at a, $35,000 lowrider ST that I have made my own in every way. So I guess ultimately, we ride these things for clarity. We ride it for mental stability. We ride it for essentially therapy, and just that also we just love it. You know what I mean? We just love it, and it's something that's just kind of, it's in your blood, and every time I have, I've had multiple bikes, and every time I've tried to sell a bike, I just go, nope. A few months later, I'm like, nope, I need another bike. Can't do this, and I'll do everything in my power to get what I want out of a new bike. So yeah, it's here to stay, but I almost sold it. I'm not kidding, guys. It made it to Facebook Marketplace. I took all the pictures, I listed all the upgrades. You know what a little bit of it too is? It's that I know that my wife worries about it, even though she supports it, she worries about it. I know my family worries about it, and us, who ride, they don't understand, and I try to be as responsible and as intelligent of a rider as I can and make smart decisions. I don't drink when I ride. I don't get high when I ride. I don't do any of those things, right? And I try to be really mindful. I try to be smart and intelligent rider. But people that don't understand, especially like an ER nurse or people who see bad things all the time, they're only exposed to the worst, right? So they're thinking, look at this, look at that, just staring at his phone, and then he peeled out. Frickin' dork. Oh yeah, so then there's that other side of me, and then there's that little piece in the back of your mind, and I know we shouldn't do this as riders, because when you're not confident of a rider and when you're scared of a rider, it actually makes you worse when you're not confident. I consider myself a confident rider. I love riding. I'm not focusing about, bad things when I'm riding, but there's that piece of me, I have a son and a stepson, and, from time to time, those little thoughts pop in your head that's like, what if I wrecked? What if I got paralyzed? What if I died and I left my family and I left my wife? And this is a very rational, normal thought that a lot of people go through, and it's a lot of things like a lot of motorcyclists don't want to talk about it because they're either like, don't talk about it, you're gonna jinx it, or they're like, stop being a freaking pussy or whatever it is, but it's a reality. It is more dangerous than driving a car. It is. It's just the reality of it. But at the same time, because we love it so much, we do assume that little bit more of risk, and weirdly enough, it kind of attracts us to it a little more, that it does have a little bit of that risk factor. Like I said, I've always been a little more into things on the fringe, grew up on punk rock, hardcore, skateboarding, getting tattooed, but then life hits you. You get older, you got bills, you got mortgage, you got a house payment, you got rent, whatever, you got a business, you got all these things that we all have, and things sneak up. So I guess ultimately, I'm not trying to be preachy, but ultimately here, what I'm learning is you have to have that youthfulness. You have to have that thing that still makes your heart beat, you know, makes your heart race and puts a smile on your face, you know. And like I said, I have other hobbies that make me happy. I do, and those hobbies are also expensive and can be time consuming in different ways. But I guess riding motorcycles is just one I just can't give up, and I have to accept that. And you know what? It's a beautiful thing. I love these machines. We all do, right? That's why we do it. So anyway, going through this construction zone, pure chaos over here, and heading into the shop. So anyway, Lowrider ST here to stay. Can't sell it, not a chance, not gonna happen. But yeah. So if you're in this little weird spot I was in for a little bit, got to keep that glimmer in your eye. Got to keep that thing that makes your heart race, thing that puts that smile on your face, making those memories on the road. All right, guys, please like and subscribe. Appreciate you watching, letting me ramble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.